Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, in today's video, I wanted to react to the video of Muhammad al-Andalusi, which is titled Six Habits That Have Allowed Me to Learn the Arabic Language in Only 10 Months. So, I thought this would be a good video because they want to have tips to learn the Arabic language, but they also want to learn the Arabic language quickly. They don't want to spend many years, or maybe they think that it's going to take a really long time. So, I thought that if I watch this video, I could kind of share you guys whatever tips that he gives, maybe add some of my own input as well. Just so anyone who wants to learn the Arabic language and thinks that it's difficult, I feel like this video is going to be about tips and tricks that are going to be useful for someone who's on their journey of learning Arabic that will help them make it easier. So let us.
2012, I started learning the Arabic language from scratch, and within 10 months, I reached a level of independence that allowed me to get accepted into the Islamic University of Al-Azhar the very next year. Not only that, but
Dang, actually, that's actually, I mean, I'm pausing it early, but like, dang, after 10 months, he got into Azhar University. I don't know, like, what's the stats or what's the criteria to get into Azhar or any, like, Islamic university. I don't think it's just knowing the Arabic language. It's probably other things as well. And um, maybe he had other talents as well. But I guess if they do, I don't know if they even require you to know Arabic to get into Azhar. I guess, I'm not sure.
the year that followed, I managed to memorize a third of the Quran, 12 juz, which is from Surah An-Nas to Surah Al-Furqan. And
12
I
juz in
even
1 year.
passed 4 years of high school in Arabic in just 1 year. Now, how did I do it? I used basically six powerful habits that sped up my Arabic learning 10 times faster. And if you apply this, you'll start seeing results sooner than you have ever imagined, inshallah. But make sure that you watch until the end because the sixth habit is the real game changer, the principle behind all the major goals that I achieved in my life. And this sixth habit was the most essential of all of them.
I'm gonna guess the sixth habit is probably like putting your phone away or something. Because I remember I've watched in other videos where he's bought this Amazon product, where it's just like a box that has a timer on it, and you could lock it and set the timer, and it will only unlock after that certain time. So he puts his phone in there and then locks the phone for like 12 hours. So from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or something, he doesn't check his phone, and then it's locked. You can't even check it, even if he wants to. So I think that's probably the most important. I mean, if someone did that, they're gonna realize how much extra time they have. It's gonna spend like 4 or 5 hours on their phone every day, so that's gonna be 4 or 5 extra hours to do whatever it may be.
So number one, it was environmental design, all right, and environmental discipline. What do I mean by this? When I first got to Egypt, first of all, I was in the beginning of my practice of Al-Islam. You know, in the beginning of your practice, you are always stronger when it comes to your faith, when it comes to just basically detaching yourself from the dunya. So when I was 16, I was selling shoes in my school. I used to have a contact in China. I used to buy shoes from him, like Nikes, Jordans, by $30, and then I would sell them for like 60 and 70. And so instead of saving money, I would buy shoes for free for myself. So I would have like a big long line of pairs of shoes. And when I started practicing, I got rid of all of them. And people would tell me, yeah, but it's not haram, man. You're going a little too strict and whatnot. But for me at that time it was like I wanted to turn the page. I just wanted to like start fresh. I didn't want anything that reminds me of my life before. And so, let alone the fact that if you have like a lot of shoes and every day you have new shoes and you go out, that I felt, subhanallah, now thinking back, at that time I perhaps didn't know how to put it in words, but now I know that it was related to my ego. Like if I come out and I have everyday new shoes, matching with the color of my clothes and so on, it would feed my ego and I didn't want that. So the point is, in the beginning of my practice, it was very easy for me to get rid of everything. Like I said, I was 16 when I was selling those shoes. When I got to Egypt, I was 18, right? So I was still fresh in my practice. And so when I got to Egypt, I used to basically not have social media. Like literally, subhanAllah, I remember I didn't have social media at all. Like after 3 years of being in Egypt and I first came back to Spain.
I like how he just puts the video in there. He's like trying to speak to the hijama guy. He didn't understand a word I was saying. But it's kind of interesting how he's. I mean, I understand like environmental design for focus, but what he's saying it in like an Islamic perspective, he's saying like I just got rid of things that were just distracting me from Islam in general, and or from practicing my deen in general. Just things that are just dunyawi, like buying more shoes, buying more clothes, matching all this, which isn't haram, but he just saying that was a distraction, and getting rid of that helped him learn Arabic, which is, I mean, getting rid of that could help you learn anything. Getting rid of that could help you focus more, and whatever you can choose, whatever it is that you want to focus on. If you choose to direct or guide that focus towards one thing, then you'll have more focus in that. But he chose to do it with the Arabic language. So so yeah.
It was weird seeing Facebook, and subhanAllah, the feeling was crazy. So I didn't have no social media at all. I had a dummy phone, which even until today I still have. Not that same one, but I still use this environmental discipline.
Oh, I think he's gonna show that box right now. I think he's gonna show the box where he locks his phone or whatever. Is it supposed to be like an ad? Because I don't have ad blocked. So let's see what's going on here.
In
Oh,
2012, I
okay.
started learning the Arabic language from scratch, and within 10 months, I reached a level of independence, which even until today, I still have. Not that same one, but I still use this environmental discipline.
Environmental discipline.
So I used to have
Oh
a
no.
phone like this, but it was Samsung, I remember. But this type of brick phones, right? I had a phone like this, I had Skype, and I had email. And I remember I used to send an email to my mom that she would receive on her phone, and then I would tell her I'm on Skype, come so we can talk. And other than that, I didn't have any distraction at all. So this is what I call environmental.
That's a big one actually. Not having any social media, it's actually a waste of time. The thing is, it tricks you into thinking that you actually learned something. It tricks you into thinking that you actually benefited. Like, oh, I just watched 30 Instagram reels and I learned 30 different things. They're all interesting about, oh, look at this food hack, or look at this new way to, I don't know, some tools, or I don't know, it's like gardening. It's just random stuff. And you think that you learned some new thing that can help you, but it doesn't really help you at all. It's kind of like when you have something that you don't want to throw away because you're like, maybe I'll use this in 20 years or something. I don't want to throw away. It could be useful in the future. That's what those videos are, those YouTube shorts and those reels. Like, maybe I'll use this information in the future, even though it's useless. You don't actually ever use it, but you just think you're benefiting from it, or you will benefit from it in the future, even though you probably won't. You could, but you probably won't.
Discipline. Everything around me was just allowing me to not be distracted. And that's how I define focus. You are focused by default. But the thing that distracts you is distractions. So if you get rid of the distractions, then you can only find focus. And so these environmental.
Get rid of women, apparently. Video games, phone, TV.
So if you get rid of the distractions, then you can only find focus. And so this environmental design at that time, it was getting rid of all of these distractions. As well, the fact that I traveled and I was away from my friends, I was away from my regular amusement things that.
Getting rid of distraction is actually hard when all your friends are like that. But if you want to, you know, have a disciplined life, then you're going to have to find people who are also like that. And most people are not like that. So you're probably just going to be not having many friends. Well, it doesn't matter. At least you know Arabic.
That I would do in Spain, they weren't even in my mind because they weren't there. And so this environment, discipline, and design to get rid of all distractions, it really helped as a habit to increase the output and efficiency of my
How was he
studies
walking
of the
with his
Arabic
hand like
language.
that?
Number two, it was my sleep routine. My sleep routine, it was from the best sleep routines that I can remember. I wasn't distracted by any distractions around. I didn't go out at night. The brothers there, I don't remember going out except for maybe a few times we would go to like eat outside or something, but it was very like it was counted with the fingers of my hands. And so I would sleep very early and wake up very early. And that gave me an incredible amount of energy for the next day to just study, be fresh, and deload any tiredness that I might have in my brain from the day before through sleeping. Now, I mean, again, even until today, I still value a lot my sleep. Wallahi, sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was right, and he said the truth when he said in the hadith, "Burika li ummati fi bukuriha," or "Allahumma barik li ummati fi bukuriha." Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, put the barakah in my ummah in its early mornings.
Especially when it's like when Fajr is early. When Fajr is at like Even when it's not that early, when it's like 6 a.m. If it's like 6 a.m., 5 something a.m., you just wake up for Fajr, pray, and if you just start working after that, if it's like 6:30 and you're just starting to study, starting to learn, you're starting to work out, starting to do whatever it may be, you're gonna do so much work and it's gonna be like 10. You're gonna feel like you did everything. You're like, oh, I'm almost done with all my work today. It's like 10, 11, and you still have the whole day, and people still are maybe just waking up at 10 or 11. You're so much ahead of them. It feels great.
So that was, subhanAllah, I saw it. As well, I saw the hadith of La Samara Ba'da al-Isha, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, you shouldn't stay up after Isha illa li-musallin aw musafir, except for somebody who's praying or somebody who is traveling. The first third of the night, wallahi.
Yeah, honestly, when especially in the summertime, going to sleep after Isha is, I mean, right now, I mean, in the wintertime, Isha is really early. I feel like to sleep right after Isha because in the wintertime it's like at 6:45. So imagine you pray Isha, it's like 7 p.m. I mean, it's early, but I mean, depending on how early you wake up for it to actually not be sleeping too early.
If you only sleep 4 hours of deep sleep of the first third of the night, you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like, subhanAllah, what time is it? It's 3 a.m. I'm not even tired. And then you realize, subhanAllah, this is what Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَكَانُوا قَلِيلًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ مَا يَهْجَعُونَ. And they used to sleep little in the night. The righteous people that used to wake up and pray long nights. If you sleep early, wallahi, you can wake up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and you have so much energy. So that was one of the habits that helped me incredibly to increase the output and efficiency of my Arabic studies. Number three, it was constant revision.
So far, number one, environmental change. Don't have having an environment that induces focus, not having distractions around you. Number two is sleep, because even if you have no distractions but you're extremely sleepy, you can't get any work done. You can't focus. I guess three now is revision.
Vision of my vocabulary. Now, at that time, we had in the markaz that I used to study at, we had a daftar at-tabyid, it used to be called. Now I replicated that, and this is what we use now in Andalus Institute, which is the same concept actually. And actually, I still have that daftar at-tabyid, even though it's been more than a decade. Let me show you.
So I guess there's an ad, and I have an ad blocker, so it's just showing nothing. So what he showed, I guess while I'm waiting for the ad, what he showed there was like a book where you write all your vocabulary words in Arabic, and then you write what it means in English, and you're supposed to revise it like 10, 20 times, and the next lesson you add more to it. You add the next new vocabulary words that you learned, and then you can go back and revise all the old ones plus the new ones, and you keep doing that until you just learn 500, 1,000 vocabulary words, and you can use them all in sentences. That's what he uses in Andalus Institute. That's what he teaches in the institute, in his own institute.
In 2000,
Okay, apparently it just restarts. Okay, let me just right here.
decade. Let me show you. SubhanAllah, I couldn't find the actual daftar at-tabid, but I found another notebook from that time. But the point is, I used to revise my vocabulary a lot, like every day, like it's my job, like it's a shift. And so under this institute right now, we use this same method where the student, when he starts on his module two, he gets something called vocabulary wallet. This is how I call it now. And basically in here, you have all the vocabulary that you have learned. And so all it takes is 20 minutes in the morning before starting anything. Just go over it, test yourself. I can show you, I used to be very, very diligent with my revision, with note taking and whatnot. It wasn't, at that time, everything was very manual, right? I wasn't using like social media, no internet, no nothing like that. So everything was just books, write on it, and that's it. So here, for example, I have anwa'u al-khabar. This is the nahu and grammar lessons that I used to take. Al-idafa, اسماء الخمسة, النعت, توكيد, and subhanallah. Now looking back, I look at it, I'm like, I mean, I don't need notes for that kind of thing. Like subhanallah, it was I would write concepts, anaitu, نعم حروف المضارعة. And so subhanallah.
If you were an Andalus Institute, if you were
نعم
Andalus Institute,
حروف
you would have known these
المضارعة.
terms.
And so
True.
subhanallah, I used to be very diligent with my studies, so I would have these type of notes, same with my vocab and so on. And the idea was that in my free time, when I'm not revising, memorizing new things, I take my notebooks and I open them and I just read through it, right? And this is what they call right now spaced repetition. In simple English, is basically you learn something, you attack it strongly, memorize it,
Revision.
test yourself. Then you leave it for a bit, then you come back, you check it again.
Yeah, that is very true. That's what I used to do when I first learned Arabic as well. I used to just I had like three journals or maybe two filled with just notes, filled with every single lesson what we learned, every single lesson what we learned, and I would just after a month or two, I would just go back and all right, now I'm sitting this. I would open it and just read the whole thing beginning to end. I've read that journal, which I still have somewhere right here, like 20, 30 times or something. I've pretty much memorized it. I know where everything is. I know all of my notes that I've taken. I know, oh, I remember this class or that class. So, yeah, it's good to revise because then now when I think of something, when I think of a concept, that page in my head is just like it's already there. I just remember, oh yeah, I remember that's what the rule and this rule and that rule, or this vocabulary word or whatever it may be.
And you leave it for a bit, and you come back and you check it again, and you check it often. And Al-Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, he was asked, do you know something that I can take that will make my memory stronger? And he said, I don't know other than muwadabat al-nadar, continuous revision, and himmat al-rajul, and that the man should really want it. It's two things only. You should want it, like really desire it. And second thing is just constant revision, constant look at the information and constant usage. Now, which this brings me habit number four, which was speaking a lot. Now, so this is part of the previous habit, which is when you speak a lot, what you are doing is pretty much like spaced repetition as well. You're just using it in a different way. The point is you have to keep on revising. If I memorize new vocabulary today, I need.
Speaking is a thing that a lot of people who learn Arabic are they struggle with not because they don't know how to speak or they don't know Arabic, but they don't practice it that much because they say, well, I've learned Arabic, and most people when they learn Arabic they say, okay, my reason for learning it is because I want to understand the Quran better. So they're reading the Quran only. They're reading the Quran. They're learning more nahu, learning more sarf, learning more vocabulary words, and then they go read the Quran and they understand it more. Maybe that's so they do understand it more. But then they don't ever sit and talk to people because they don't need to. They're all speaking English or whatever it may be to their friends, their family. No one else is probably learning Arabic. They're the only one. Or even the people who they do learn Arabic with, when they speak to each other, they speak in English. So because they just say, well, there's no need to speak Arabic. They don't practice speaking. But with Andalus Institute, they have like speaking sessions that you could book at any time. You can just book. Okay, they have I think like three or four uh, ustads, like professional Arabic teachers, and you can just book a 1 hour session anytime and simply just speak and practice. I've joined them and I've posted on my channel. I posted I think two of those live sessions where I just showed you exactly what happens. Like one of them was a beginner class and one of them was an advanced class. So you see both how you would sound as a beginner and where you should be as a more advanced person. So I did both of those and I posted those on my channel. You can check those videos out. Um, and yeah, speaking helps you a lot, and you realize that you need more vocabulary words. It makes you want to learn more. It makes you revise the grammar that you learned, the nahu, the sarf that you learned. It's like practicing all the rules at once and live. That's pretty much what speaking is.
To constantly use it, meaning speak with it, look at it, read it, listen to it. Now, I mean, so I remember my teacher, he used to tell me in a like funny, teasing type of way. He would say, man, you talk a lot, man. You talk a lot. That's why you're good with Arabic. You talk a lot. And so I truly used to speak a lot. And at that time, I was young. I was like, what, 19, 20. I've always been goofy. I've always been kicked out of classes for speaking a lot, for just being loud and whatnot. So I used to love it. I used to love talking. I used to love in all types of contexts. I would laughing, sometimes making things socially awkward because you say things you shouldn't say with because of lack of hikmah. And it's found out that was a blessing and a curse at the same time because sometimes I would say things I wasn't supposed to say or whatnot. I didn't have much hikmah. But one thing is I used to speak a lot. Now I used to talk a lot, put everything into practice, and that's how I kept things in my mind. Habit number 5, watch out for habit number 6 because that's how I
This, by the way, this man here, if you don't know, I think this is the author of the book Al-Arabiya Bayna Yadik, which is like a famous book that a lot of people learn when they want to, or start with when they want to learn Arabic. I've never gone through the book, but I know it's very famous, very popular that people use.
kept things in my mind. Habit number 5, watch out for habit number 6 because that's the most important one and nothing can be applied without this. But habit number 5 was embracing mistakes. So not only I used to speak a lot, but what allowed me to speak a lot it was that I wasn't afraid of making mistakes. I was fine with the fact that I can be laughed at, that I might say things wrongly, that my accent might sound funny, but I embraced it because I understood, having learned different languages before, that if you don't make mistakes, you won't remember those mistakes. Do not.
Yeah, and also nobody cares if you make a mistake. Like literally nobody cares. They'll just maybe laugh, "Oh, you said that wrong," and then move on. Like nobody, it doesn't even matter. Like when I speak Arabic, I don't care if I make a mistake, and if I do make a mistake, someone will just simply correct me, and they don't care. Even when I do speaking sessions, if I say a word wrong, the teacher will correct me. Actually, you're supposed to say it this way, and then oh, thank you, and that's it. Simple.
Make them. Like, for example, I remember, subhanAllah, I still remember the road I was walking on. And I was in Paris, right? Those of you who don't know, when I was 14, I moved to Paris and I used to live in France. I stood there for 2 years. So I learned French from scratch there. And I remember I got off the bus and I was walking to the school and there was some guy that became my friend later on. He was talking to me. And you see in French, they say this thing where they say, tu viens ou pas? And so it means, are you coming or not? So me in my mind, I'm translated in Spanish. You coming or not? And so I would take the word "ah" and just translate in my mind as no. So now when people ask me, are you coming? Without the pa, the part, I would just say pa. That was what you mean pa. And so it was through these type of awkward, funny, embarrassing moments. By the way, you don't say that in French, right? Like it's not, you don't use it in that context. You can use it in a question form, but not on an affirmation. Like no, pa, I'm pa coming. Like you're gonna say that. You have to say I'm not coming, right? So I still remember subhanAllah, and I was like 14, right? I'm 31 now, and I still remember the road. I still remember. So the fact that that was embarrassing, I still remember it. And so that's how I learned. When it came to Arabic as well, there are certain things I said that were embarrassing, but it allowed me to now still remember them and not forget them, right? So for example, once I was in class in Arabic and we were taking, new vocabulary. And this vocabulary was hayawan, which means animals, right? So the teacher, he said, if it means animals,
Hayawan, which means animal. I'm pretty sure it just means animal. I think it's singular. I don't think it's plural. Hayawan. Pretty sure it's just singular. Yeah. Hayawanat is plural. Hayawan is just animal.
what does this ayah mean? وإن الدار الآخرة لهي الحيوان لو كانوا يعلمون. In 2012, وإن الدار الآخرة لهي الحيوان لو كانوا يعلمون. For me, in my mind, I tried to decipher. Okay, so akhirah, okay, so akhirah, so what? And then I raised my hand. I was the first one to raise my hand after the teacher asked. So he said, "What does this mean?" I said, I raised my hand and I said, yani, it means that in al-akhirah there's no animals. The teacher started laughing, the whole class started laughing. And it was embarrassing. And I still remember until today. But I wouldn't be able to share this fa'idah with you if I didn't make the mistake in the first place. Now, so Sadaqa man qal was stated that there's two types of people that don't learn, which is the person that's shy and the person that's arrogant. Because both of them don't ask questions and both of them are scared of making a mistake. So embrace making mistakes, it will speed up your process. And number six, which is the most important one, and I still value these as a principle and key in my life, as scholars call it in many different books that I only came to realize now, is called Jam' al-Himma. Jam'ul Himma, which basically means to gather all your attention, right? So laser focus, to gather your attention, to be focused on one particular thing. And like I said, if it wasn't because of this habit, none of the other things would be able to be applied. Now, for example, when I got to first to Egypt, like I said, when I was 17, is when I started practicing. In that year, I was in my season of basketball. It was like the last few months of the season. It's stressful. The workouts are heavier. At that time, I was working out very intensively. I used to wake up early, go run, come back, sleep, then go again to the workout in the afternoon. It was a lifestyle. It was my whole life. And so I started practicing. And when you start practicing and you start like losing love for the things that, at that time I was trying to become a professional basketball player. So even though that was my goal when I started practicing, I felt again like playing basketball, for example, I'm a very competitive person and I love to trash talk when I play basketball. And I generally felt at that time that it was hurting my nafs. And subhanAllah, thinking back, I've always been like very observing of my nafs, how certain things might make my nafs feel, and then I would identify patterns and find the source of those patterns and try to get rid of those things. So at that time, basketball was a source of that pattern, which was arrogance and wanting to fight and wanting to trash talk and things like that. So when I started practicing, I started to like feel uncomfortable going to the basketball workouts and with my team and things like that. So I started to want to learn the Arabic language. So now, long story short, I met someone who told me in the summer there's going to be an intensive 3-month program in Egypt for Arabic. So I said, okay, hey, I want to become a professional basketball player, but I'm going to go for 3 months, learn some Arabic, and then come back. So that's what I did. I went for this program, the 3-month program. Now, first month when I got to Egypt for that 3-month program, first month I realized, because at that time, like I told you, I started practicing, right? So I was in a haram relationship. I said to her, if you don't accept Islam, if you don't accept Islam, then we gotta separate and whatnot. So she didn't accept Islam, we separated. And so, I got to Egypt and now I seen all these brothers with their wives and whatnot, and I started to feel the need of marriage. And after the first month, I was like, yo, man, I can't focus. SubhanAllah, I remember I was sitting between Maghrib and Isha, and there was this brother, he came and told me, he says, SubhanAllah, what's going on with you? I always see you like, you look down and whatnot. And so I told him I want to get married and this and that, boo, boo, boo. Say, okay, come back to my apartment after Isha and I will, we can talk about it. Long story short, he gave me his debit card. He said, yo, grab yourself a ticket, go and meet this sister and whatnot. And so that's what I did. I literally, in the first month of that 3 intensive month program, I left for 2 weeks to meet a family, to like calm myself down, like, okay, I'm gonna get married, khalas, let me just do my studies. So after those 2 weeks, I came back, I completed the program, and then is when I realized, yeah, I think I have to come back to Egypt and actually study full time. So I went for 4 months, saved some money, and then got married and went to Egypt. Now, when I got to Egypt, I thought in my mind that I'm going to find a basketball team in Egypt and at the same time do my lessons. I started doing like long days of studies. Then at night I will have to like grab some train and go to this place and that place. I didn't have money either, so I couldn't do like taxi trips and things like that. So I was going to the train of Alexandria, and then like you guys know how it is going out in Egypt. For those who know it, it was just like heavy on my nerves. I would go to the workout tired. Now I have to get back home, sleep late, wake up late. Then I was like, subhanAllah, this is 2 different types of lifestyles. They just clash with each other. Becoming a professional athlete, becoming a professional student of knowledge don't go together. So that's when I decided, you know what, khalas, this is going to be my destiny, inshallah. I want to become a professional student of knowledge. At that time, that's where my mind was at. I said, khalas, that's what I'm doing. I left everything, full focus, laser focus. And at that time, everything else that wasn't learning the Arabic language and studying, it was a distraction for me. So this habit, later on, I came to realize that the scholars, they very, very often talk about it. Jam'ul Ham. Ibn al-Jawzi mentions in his book Sayyid al-Khatir that if you want to really like seek knowledge, you need to do Jam' al-Ham. If you want to seek knowledge, you have to focus, meaning you need to you need to gather all your ham, all your attention on that thing. And everything else is a distraction. So these were the 6 habits that allow me to have.
Okay, so I didn't pause it that much at the very end because there wasn't much. I didn't really feel like I had much input. But that was the six. So number one was changing your environment, making it conducive to learning and not having any distractions. Number two, it was after not having any distractions, it is fixing your sleep schedule. Number three was revision. Four was not being afraid to make any mistakes. Five, let me remember what five was. Oh no, that was five actually. Four was speaking. Five was embracing mistakes, not caring if you're making mistakes. And six was having laser focus. So not trying to do, not trying to be professional at two things, because it's very difficult to be professional at two things. Maybe you can do one and then the other. It's hard to do it both at the same time. If you do those six things, if you have those six habits, yeah, I mean, honestly, if you have those six habits and you do what he did and you deleted, for example, all social media, you kept your phone away, you kept distractions away, you changed your environment, you practice and practice and practice, you spoke the Arabic language easily within 10 months, you will be so good. Like 10 months, you will be so good at the Arabic language, especially if you just put in like, I mean, he was saying 20 minutes a day. I mean, if you put in 2 hours a day. I mean, if you're going to be putting away your phone, that's you're probably spending more screen time than 2 hours anyway. So you're going to have more than that just by putting it. You're going to be gaining that amount of time just by putting your phone away. So that amount of time, just 2 hours a day, which I guess is a lot, but if you're laser focused, and you'll easily be able to do that for 10 months, you'll be so good at Arabic. With it, you'll go from zero to knowing, pretty much having a very solid foundation in Arabic, where you could just go and read books and understand and read dictionaries and learn more and learn on your own. After 10 months, you could do that. Anyways, those were very beneficial. I think that was a beneficial video, also motivational video. I think it was edited very well, also with the clips and the editing. I mean, it made it entertaining as well. So I think that was beneficial, inshallah. And also, if you think that you got more encouraged, you got more motivated now to learn the Arabic language, you think it's more possible, it's not so impossible, it's not something that you think it's in the distant future you'll do, but you can do it now, then I have good news for you. All of these tactics, all of the tips that he gave that weren't something that you have to do, meaning the things that you have to do is have the focus, get rid of distractions, things that should be given to you, which is like opportunities to speak, opportunities to learn, all that stuff. He has already given to anyone through his program called Andalus Institute. Andalus Institute is a Arabic program that you could pretty much go from zero a to Z, from zero to being fluent in the Arabic language, inshallah, within a short amount of time. Like I've seen testimonials, if you do the program within 1 year or 2 years, you will be fluent in the Arabic language, inshallah. And if you are interested, then click the link in the description and sign up today, inshallah. Don't wait for until you're older. When you're older, you're gonna have more distractions. When you're older, you're gonna have more things to worry about, less free time. If you're young, then do it now, because today is better than tomorrow, and tomorrow is better than after tomorrow. The moment that you're in is better than the moment that's coming, because you're only gonna be getting older. It's going to be harder to learn when you're older. It's easier to learn when you're younger. You have more time. You have more free time on your hands. You have less responsibility. It's easier to learn languages. And you can set aside an hour, 2 hours every day and actually learn this thing. If you learn it now, then when you're older, you'll still know it. So take advantage with the time that you have now, and click the link in the description and sign up today, inshallah. I hope you all enjoyed this reaction, and I'll see you all in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.